Alright, hello and welcome everyone to week 4 of the LJL. Day 1, we have match 1 here for you. Coming right up, it's going to be Hawks Gaming taking on Rascal Jester as the first game of this week, and has kind of been a little bit of an eventful past week. In week 3, we did return to the offline format in the last week, and it has kind of led to a little bit more excitement coming out of the past couple games. Teams have looked a lot more coherent overall. It looks like a lot of teams are getting back onto the same page that they are more accustomed to. Speaking of those teams, Hawks Gaming, looking at their lineup here, they actually have been adjusting quite well. Aramic has we have not seen a wide range of Aramic's champion pools. Typically been passed over the Wukong fairly consistently, but speaking of being passed over some comfort picks, Pink being one of them that has been passed over his familiar picks. He's been given Katarina the past couple games, and that is something that I do kind of want to draw attention to, is with the rookie players, this is sort of the weeks that we're starting to feel a bit more comfortable. Teams should be used to playing with them now, but Pink has really kind of struggled to show up in force in the summer split so far. Has kind of been bullied out by a number of other teams, and even when giving him the Katarina that he was so comfortable on, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I'm not 100% sure if it was Akihabara Cup that he was able to play in, and he did have the performances on Katarina. I know Nagi, the support for Rascal Jester, also did make his way up through there. His Dasher and Hart gonna be having a bit of fun there, playing rock, paper, scissors across the socially distanced editing screens. That being said, do want to focus a bit on Rascal Jester and their story kind of coming up here. They did manage their first win against Axis Gaming in the last week. They definitely had a rough time kind of adjusting to the online format during the first 2 weeks of the LJL. But since coming back to the offline format, they've looked fairly consistent in their game against Axis. They were able to pull out their first win, and that's sort of what I look towards as you got your first win of the split. This is where you had your, you know what the winning formula looks like now. How are you going to be able to replicate that sort of thing? And going forward against a team like Hawks Gaming, now you're battling up in the standings. How are you going to be able to pull this one out, as Katarina is going to be taken away immediately by Hawks Gaming? A little bit of respect given over to Pink there, as the rest of the bands shall be fairly evened up for the rest of this band phase. And while we speak on the side of Hawks Gaming, one of the things that I've been looking at them for is they've sort of been back and forth between a few styles. They've been able to play the team fight style of drafting things like Aphelios or just very carry-oriented ADs and trying to play around that, and they've done that to an okay success, but much more of a comfort style to them seems to be the sort of aggressive style, like to play up in your face, very dive heavy, especially with Aramic being as comfortable on Wukong as he has been so far. That being said, with Aphelios banned away, we'll see what Hawks Gaming are going to line up here. With Callista actually going to be locked in first up here. With the B1 Callista being locked in by Hawks Gaming is not a bad pickup, but definitely shows your hand very early on in the draft with the early game AD carry, and a lot of the priority picks on Rascal Jester's side still open. Karma being one of the more popular ones we've seen as of late, and also having Trundle open, which will be locked in there for Rascal Jester. Does kind of help. The pillar is a great deterrent for Callista specifically. The movement speed slow really hinders Callista as a champion, but More than that allows just a decent zoning tool, has that terrain control. You should be able to use that to decent success so far. If Hawks Gaming are going to be all-inning with that Callista pickup, and Rascal Jester going to complement their slow of Hawks Gaming's approach with an Ashe pickup here. It's not a bad pickup by any means, and that is something that we have been noticing in the most recent week, is we've kind of seen in the LJL a little bit of a decline in the Ezreal pickups. Ezreal Yumi was very, very popular earlier on, and then slowly we've been seeing Ashe kind of crawling up in the meta, as Hawks Gaming going to lock themselves in Lee Sin and Galio, and possibly showing a bit of potential dive options, as Rascal Jester going to lock themselves in the Nautilus, one of the premier supports. A lot of supports have definitely been on the either Nautilus or Thresh game as of late, and Set also showing up sometimes in the support lane. Definitely usually comes off the back of the flex option, but Hawks Gaming not allowing that one over. As Rascal Jester going to be banning away the Azir here is a little bit interesting. It is sort of an option that Rascal Jester could be looking at if they wanted to draft it for themselves, just to have an extra defensive tool. But that being said, we have seen a little bit of the draft Callista for your early game damage, and then have Azir as sort of a later game carry. So that's going to be two more mid laners banned away, and Malzahar being one that Pink has played already, really going to try to exhaust or really express his champion pool in this kind of a game, especially with Dasher already having the Galio locked in. Rascal Jester possibly looking to read that the Galio could be sent into the support position, or trying to force it directly into the mid lane. We'll see what Rascal Jester has in store for the second half of this draft, and what they'll end up retaining here. As the next pick that comes in, Karma is going to be the one that Rascal Jester decide on, and surprised it made it this far in the draft overall, but does still offer a little bit of flex potential, and kind of holds out on your last couple picks, so you can see the rest of what Hawks Gaming want to do, as Volibear is going to be locked in here. One of the few bears we see among the LJL, but is a little bit of a risky one to be throwing up here, as the side of Rascal Jester definitely has a number of slows to kind of zone away the bear, who ultimately doesn't have the best engage options. But Hawks Gaming also going to be locking in the Thresh here, meta mainstay of the support position, as definitely in the LJL, the popularity of engaged supports, or hook supports rather, has not fallen off, but an unpopular pick is Kayle is going to be locked in here, likely going up to the top lane against the Volibear. And that's sort of something that Cog, I don't think we've seen him on Kayle since the spring split. Early on in the spring split, Kayle was definitely a lot more popular, around the time that scaling top laners were just more meta overall. Things like Kayle and Gangplank were rampant among the top line, alongside things like Set and Ornn, which we still see to this day, but is a bit risky up towards the top side, as that is a very weak top side to be able to play. So Cog has his work cut out for him there, but does offer you a bit of scaling assurance, and kind of offers a transition of carries where Ashe can pose a little bit early when you get that Bork power spike, and then transfer towards the later end of the game, as you can have Kayle take over in the damage department, and then rely on Ashe a little bit more for her utility. Meanwhile, on the side of Hawks Gaming, they definitely have the objective of, once their ball is rolling, they really need it to steamroll over the lines of Rascal Jester, and with a comp like this, it's definitely doable for them. Although this game will definitely be decided in large part by the early game, and that is something that we've seen Rascal Jester sort of struggle with in the weeks prior, is recognition of what objectives they can give up and what objectives they need to be fighting for, as it's ultimately kind of been their undoing in a lot of senses. One thing we've definitely seen in the past couple weeks is even when Rascal Jester were on the opposite end of this coin, Rascal Jester being the ones who were posturing for early Drake control and postured an early centered comp with Callista in tow, they sort of struggled throughout the mid and late game to try and finalize that one. So now, playing the opposite end of the coin, I'm curious to see how they do here, as RMX gonna find an E onto Cogcog. Does actually start the Doran's Ring there to help out. Little extra damage from his passive and his E casts. But aside from that, fairly traditional runes all the way across the board, and I'm curious to see how Pink plays a weaker lane throughout this one. Playing the Karma is very susceptible to getting engaged on by Dasher and Tussle, as Galio just offers such great gank assist for the jungler and can really start to give Tussle an advantage early. But hopefully he'll be able to capitalize on, as Hachimecha going to be able to knock down the ward there, and will reveal where he is starting as Cogcog shows up to the red side, as well as Art's already very low. Pooh did throw down the flash. I believe he must have found a death sentence out of the bushes. That's not exactly the foot you want to start this lane on if you are Art. And that will give Hawks Gaming a lot of early pressure onto this bot lane. Ignite being down, but that is a huge HP advantage that Rascal Jester will need to consider going forward, as Tussle's just going to be full clearing towards that bottom side. Fortunately for Rascal Jester, Hachimecha is taking both junglers are taking the fast path to 3. So Hachimecha will be on this side of the map to hopefully get a bit more information and keep him safe, as the Hawkshot barely going to miss out on Tussle there. Well, Hachimecha is going to be wandering down here, hopefully trying to alleviate some of the pressure of his bot lane, but here comes Tussle. At the same time, Hachimecha is going to get away from that one, throw up the pillar just to deter any action before it happens, as Armix going to be going for a little bit of a trade of his own in the top side. Cogcog's going to walk back up a little bit early, going to eat a W for a little bit of interesting timing there. As a death sentence lands there, but not one that can be immediately capitalized off of. As for now, the early game will just kind of be metered out. Rascal Jester going to be forced to take an early back here after the way of a couple of those trades early on. And the AI actually going to favor Rascal Jester here in terms of comp, and that is sort of lending itself towards... I don't think we have seen... If memory serves, the Bear has not exactly found the most amount of value in a lot of the games, or even in the series. I believe it was V3 versus Hawks Gaming, where V3 had the Volibear up towards the top side. It definitely did not fall to Volibear to being the one that had major impact over that game. So Volibear is still trying to find his place in the meta of the LJL, and has not been looking the best for him there, but opportunity on the top side, of course, to maybe make a difference if Aramik is able to pull that one off, as looks like Tussle is going to be roaming up to the top side here. Hachimecha is close in proximity, as Aramik's going to go for the stun here. Sonic Wave will land, but not one that Tussle can follow up on. They will force a teleport out, as Pink is going to be rotating up here, looking for a binding on the Tussle. Will find it in the end, but team a little bit too far back to finish that one off. Will get Tussle's flash, which is a nice deal there as Pooh's gonna find a flay here. The hook's gonna go down, actually dodges the death sentence from Pooh as Art's gonna be able to chase him and walk him down here. Autos away as the Q slow is just a little bit too much, but here comes Dasher now rotating down. Now it's Rascal Jester's time to teleport Cog to the bottom side of things as the heal from onto Nagi might be enough for Dasher to go down here. Not gonna be able to find a kill there as Arumek teleporting in just a little bit too late to be able to turn that one. Rascal Jester end up finding 2 there and exchanging a number of teleports for it. What was a solo play over for Rascal Jester just kind of unfolded one member at a time, and I think the beautiful thing here is Nagi throwing that hook just barely avoids Pooh's counter hook there. And had it hit, Nagi definitely would have gone down there. And as Dasher comes back in, trying to pick up the pieces here, Cog comes in, W for the extra healing. And they're able to finish that one out. And Arumek could make the call to go in, but Rascal Jester has a lot of tools to just kind of kite you out with the KLQs and the slows coming out from Ash. There's just so much that Hawks Gaming can't really force their way onto there. And ultimately coming up in Rascal Jester's benefit, as what started as a rough lane for them early on ends up being a double kill as Pooh's gonna flash right onto Art, playing a little bit too far up. And that's how you punish a flash being down, as Honey's gonna be able to pick up that kill. Here comes Dasher with the heroic entrance. There should be 2 here, as Rascal Jester didn't really need to be walking up to the wave at all. The wave was coming into them, as I don't think Honey had a freeze. I'm not 100% sure, but that will mean that Hawks Gaming are able to secure this Drake for relatively free. And finding a quick 2 kills back there puts Honey back in the driver's seat of this lane. So watch this one more time. Yeah, too many minions. Art did not really need to be walking up here, but a great punish from Pooh. Just the decisiveness that he's able to initiate on pays dividends for Hawks Gaming, as one taunt later will mean a double kill over for Callista. And that's sort of going to lend Honey, as he did pick up the Bilgewater Cutlass. He's going to be looking for more opportunities to try and run down Rascal Jester in the bottom side of things. As meanwhile, overall for the top side, Cog only being a slight amount of CS down is not a terrible position to be in, considering Kale's weaker early game. But Rascal Jester gonna make the call to go onto this Rift Herald is a little bit risky. Tussel's gonna face check into them, but not gonna be able to follow that one through. Not even level 6 to be able to contest Hachimecha with a lot of realistic power, but recognizing Tussle backing away there, the rest of Rascal Jester will be rotating back down, as Hawks Gaming will punish with a extra turret plate and making Art miss a little bit of that CS. It is a little bit interesting that Rascal Jester were able to kind of secure that Rift Herald, especially with 2 members of their comp already going into Cole and not a whole lot of damage coming out from Pink very early on. But Cog kind of had the wave in an ideal position that Arumek couldn't just leave his turret to go help. And with Dasher's ultimate still on cooldown from the bot lane play earlier, Rascal Jester able to sneak away with a quick objective. And the real question for Hachimecha is exactly where does this Rift Herald go? You can put it up towards the top side to give Kale a little bit of a boost in gold and help her over the early hurdles of laning. But it somewhat depends on where Hachimecha is able to find value early on, as it looks like he is going for a lane gank up towards, or down towards the bottom end of things. Well, Aramic does his best to try and set up a bit of deep vision there. Tussle is close by, so if a play does break out, not exactly too worried. Tussle does have kick available and flash back up. But Rascal Jester, once warded out, will just back away from this situation. So it looks like Hachimecha will take another reset just to be the fastest way back to base. Does complete his jungle item, which helps out on that clear speed very well, especially moving up towards his top side. So Aramic has quite the wave in front of him to be farming out. Ultimately, for now, likely won't be seeing a ton of action until this Mountain Drake is back up, and Hawks Gaming will have opportunity to possibly be looking at their second Drake. Hachimecha wandering up here. No real gank opportunity. The dive is a possibility with the Kale ultimate, but it would be a risky one onto the bear, but it looks like Hachimecha spawning up the Rift Herald here. Possibly just looking to cash in on a bit of turret plates. It looks like that will be the call in the end for Rascal Jester. Just be giving some gold over to Cogcog. As a respectable 320 gold given between Hachimecha and Cogcog, but as it seems right now, Hachimecha is just kind of first to each of these lanes so far. Tussle kind of just one step behind him, as he's one step behind towards the top side, one step behind towards the bot lane play, that even if the play is not breaking out, feels kind of bad to be the Lee Sin there, as you're looking for opportunity still. As a great death sentence is the opportunity for Hawks Gaming, as the arrow's going to stun up Honey, but not long enough, as a Kalista ultimate going to knock up Nagi there. Aramic can make the call for the dive, but with Pooh the one tanking there, they make the call to back off there. As opportunity now for Dasher there, as he's going to get the taunt on the pink, but here comes Hachimecha. Should be able to zone away, as Tussle's going to get locked up there. W back over to his teammate. And a little bit of back-to-back action between Hawks Gaming and Rascal Jester there, as Pooh with a beautiful hook ends up just being the difference maker, or being all the reasons that this whole play can unfold. You're going to get yourself a Mountain Drake off of it. Aramic teleporting to the bottom lane was a little bit interesting. It was partially a play that Hawks Gaming made when they had a decent idea of where Hachimecha could be, and they don't want to be reacting late with that teleport. So possibly the idea that Aramic had there in mind, but Cogcog has gotten a lot of gold off of the turret plates on the top side. So it is a little bit worrisome for the Kale scaling as it's moving along here nicely. Rascal Jester, some pings coming out. They know Tussle's been wandering around in their jungle, but will get spotted out on his way back to his friendly side of the jungle, as it looks like a little bit of a lane swap here as Dasher's up towards the top side now. Just farming out the waves with Q. And it's not exactly the position you want to be in into a Kale, where you don't have a whole lot of options in terms of fighting the Kale or bullying her off of any amount of CS. As while Dasher does have a bit of a CS lead over Pink, the advantages for Hawks Gaming are mainly in the Drake category, but the sort of risk that it presents itself, well, we'll hold that thought for a moment, as Tussle's going to come over the wall here. Don't think he has a great find onto Cogcog. And with Rascal Jester's bot lane rotating up here, would be an ill-advised play, as Heart's going to be showing up here, but Honey's going for a little bit of a solo trade, dodges out on the Crystal Arrow, as the hook's going to find his way onto Nagi. The Death Charge will only knock them up for so long, as he goes golden, tries to buy his team some time to rotate back in, as a teleport was canceled elsewhere on the map, and Dasher's going to come in there to assist Honey with that kill. I believe Pink channeled the teleport up to the top side, but was not able to complete it. Aramic stopped him down there. It flashes on cooldown, but Tussle looking for more opportunity here, throws the Sonic Wave, not going to find any targets, as Tussel's gonna smite to give himself a bit of space, pulls the lantern back out. Looking for a kick opportunity, but they'll take their consolation prize of the Rift Herald. After finding a kill, there was a bit risky in the look there, as Honey was kind of all in onto Rascal Jester there. He was right in Kokok's face before they knew that Art and Nagi were rotating up. But the Rift Herald will be going down to the side of Hawks Gaming and ultimately leave Rascal Jester still slightly playing on the back foot, as Hawks Gaming are just looking to slowly grow their gold advantage. And they'll try to do just that as they spawn the Rift Herald up here. No turret plates to be exactly cashed in on just yet, but knocking open first turret would definitely be a help, as Hachimeche is here to help deter that play, and Kokok cresting into that level 11 adds a little bit to his lane clear, but I don't think it will be quite enough, as Hawks Gaming are determined to try and knock down this Drake. Sonic Wave landed, but can he go for the kick opportunity? Does not look like that will be the play, and Rascal Jester on the opposite end of the map here. Art and Nagi will enjoy some time with a bit of safe farming down on the bot lane, and in the end, the turret will fall over to the side of Hawks Gaming, as Honey's going to be able to pick up the majority of that gold. 400 gold shutdown onto Honey feels pretty good for your chances of this early game, and about a 1.5k gold advantage will hopefully be enough for Hawks Gaming to continue pressure around this Cloud Drake and pushing towards Soul opportunity. There aren't exactly the largest benefactors of a Cloud Soul on Hawks Gaming's side, but having the ult CDR up sooner rather than later means more kick opportunities for Tussle and more heroic entrances for Dasher to be able to be following his team around the map. Aramic is a decent user of the Cloud Soul, kind of helps blow past a lot of the slows that Rascal Jester will be throwing out, and makes it a little bit easier to get on top of the members you're looking for. Hawks Gaming waiting around in the wings here. Tussle just covering for his AD carry for now. But a decent amount of vision established by Rascal Jester. They're kind of trying to see who they're finding, as Pooh will use that time to try and clear up some vision a little bit on both ends here, as Hawks Gaming, Tussle might be in a little bit of a bad spot here, as Hachimeche is going to find him out. Tussle dashing over the wall, doesn't have lantern and no turret on the bottom side, so he does have an escape route out, but right now Rascal Jester kind of being ping-ponged back and forth between where Dasher is playing and where the rest of Hawks Gaming are positioned. This sort of benefit for Hawks Gaming there is Dasher has a fairly safe retreat pattern, but also the heroic entrance to reconvene with his team. Drake at about half HP. Rascal Jester going to make the call to burn this one down. Dasher's in the middle of everyone. We'll get a two-man taunt, but what will the play be afterwards? Here comes Aramic with a great ultimate in, as the ultimate from Kale is going to be the one saving Pink there. Is going to look for a route onto Tussle. Not quite going to find it there, but Kokok flashing forward for that one. Will be able to finish him off, and Hawks Gaming are kind of getting run around the map. Honey still ahead, but no frontline left to save him. The auto E from Kokok will be enough to knock him down. And ultimately, a little bit of a disastrous fight for Hawks Gaming, as they were the ones with tempo in this scenario, but they lose out on the initiation on the Drake. And with Dasher kind of in this awkward position that he's not able to start up the combo the way he wants, ends up starting it off by just eating the crystal arrow, and then there's just so much lines of CC, and it looks good here for Hawks Gaming for a moment, but then they can't quite finish off the members that they need, and there's this awkward split where Honey and Pooh are looking up towards the top side onto Art, while Aramic and Vivid are just kind of stuck on the bottom side of things, where they're not able to, they can't brawl past the lines of Rascal Jester by themselves. They need or they need the rest of their comp to really be playing with them, but ultimate, oh, excuse me, Aramic and Pooh, Vivid is different support of a different team, but all of that being said, Pink gonna be spawning Hawks Gaming out on the ward there. Apologies, it has been a very long week with a lot of other going on, but that being said, Rascal Jester find themselves evening up the gold count, and it's somewhat of a harrowing position for the side of Hawks Gaming to be in, where you are just constantly looking to grow that early game advantage, and to end up losing it this early on, it's not a great position to be in. But that isn't to say that Hawks Gaming can't find decent fights here. The sort of issue is this ticking Kale is slowly starting to scale up as Hawks Gaming looking for an opportunity onto it. Armic's going to come in with the ultimate. Kale's going to pop hers in response, and Armic might be going down before the rest of the team can reconvene, but the knockup coming in from Honey's ultimate will be enough time for Cog to be burned down there, cashing in on a little bit of a shutdown there, while the rest of Rascal Jester will trade for the mid lane turret. And that's just sort of Cog playing possibly a little bit too greedy for gold, although that isn't to say that he is not adding up some fat stacks. It is just more so that dying there's a little bit of a risky position to be in, as you don't really want to be giving gold back over to Hawks Gaming at this point when you've worked so hard. But a great taunt there found by Dasher. They're going to be trying to retreat out here. Should just be a 1 for none, but Cog's coming in. If he's able to find enough of a slow, the Hextech Gunblade going to be slowing Tussle there as he's forced to dash away, and Pooh will pay for his sins in the meantime. Well, this is exactly what Rascal Jester's comp does. They slow and they chase down so efficiently that Hawks Gaming were not able to mount a reasonable amount of retreat there. And this will mean Baron over to Rascal Jester as Tussle was forced to back away. They're not even going to have an opportunity for a steal, and Rascal Jester have really found their stride in the mid game here. And we'll watch this one more time as Hawks Gaming find a decent opportunity as Pooh finds a hook onto Nagi, and the combo comes through well enough for a single kill, but once the teleport comes in, it's so hard for the comp of Hawks to really be running away. One slow after the other, and then Hachimecha is able to throw up the pillar to allow his team the time to come back for the remaining members. And if you are Nagi, that is not a bad trade to be taking, as the gold lead now in the favor of Rascal Jester, about 2.5k gold there. And a Kale that is already 2.5 items deep. This is sort of an interesting position as Hawks Gaming looking for potential over the wall. Death Sentence not going to find any marks, but possibly a couple more members and Rascal Jester were expecting to be there. So Cloud Drake is spawning up here, and while the Cloud Soul doesn't exactly benefit many members of Rascal Jester either, having the ult CDR for Art and for Cog definitely protects them in large part to be able to kind of make more plays, and just sort of overall makes Hawks Gaming's attempts at forcing themselves onto Rascal Jester very difficult. But Hachimecha is going to be the first to start this Drake up, and they will be focusing on that for now. Arvik is rotating around here. Does have ultimate to try and get the party started, but Rascal Jester just going to make the call to go onto him. Samantra E goes down, not quite going to be able to finish that one off, as now they're kind of getting kited back and forth here. The arrow will find his way onto Tussle. Dasher uses the ultimate to try and just save his jungler there, and Rascal Jester are kind of just playing both ends. Because eventually the smite will come through into Hachimecha. Armix going in onto Art there, but flashes away to safety as the front line is just doing what they can to buy time. Cog is just getting out so much damage. Art and Cog played that fight mostly untouched, especially as Art, full HP, is able to find a lot of value. You find a death sentence, but will that be enough as Rascal Jester go very low, but are not finished off? A clean ace over to the side of Rascal Jester, and with Baron in tow, this might just be an early way for Rascal Jester to end this game. Wishful thinking from Pooh to throw out that hook, and it's what you want. You want to try to find any way to finish off Rascal Jester, but they end up living it out. And this will definitely mean an inhibitor for Rascal Jester. They're going to make the call to back off. About a 5,000 gold advantage gained in the wake of this Baron. And so we'll kind of watch as Rascal Jester just kind of play both ends of this fight so well. As at the point that Aramik is forced to take the engage, it's really from Hawks Gaming playing defensively. Tussel's already too low HP and really risking it to try and attempt at this Drake. Aramik comes in with the ultimate, but the rest of his team is just locked up by Naki and Hachimecha, who do a great job of zoning, and then Cog ends up eating a little bit of damage from Honey in the end, but there was so much time that Honey, who is the main source of damage on Hawks Gaming's side, is just not able to find value. It's Rascal Jester limping away, but with the extra gold in their pockets, it only gets better and better for Rascal Jester here. As the gold advantage is growing, this might have just been a very decisive blow for Rascal Jester. As mid lane inhibitor is exposed, they can wait on the next Baron before they make any hasty actions, but in the meantime, just picking up those side lane waves. While Hawks Gaming will need to do something to be able to battle back into this one, they need to possibly find a pick that doesn't end up costing them more in its wake, where Rascal Jester have just done such an efficient job of trading any kill that happens over for a turret, or just trading it back in terms of overall kill count. As Cog has resumed his position of having a gold shutdown on him, and Art as well, 500 gold shutdown to him. There definitely are targets for Hawks Gaming. A couple bounties set that if they're able to capitalize on, would be nice for Honey being back in the position that he's able to start stacking up a lot of damage, but as it stands right now, it just feels like it takes Hawks Gaming a little bit too long to be able to burn the front line. Meanwhile, Aramik is trying to solo dive, but Volibear just doesn't do enough damage to Art and Cog, as well as just having the Kale ultimate to just play defensively around. Rascal Jester are in an overall very good position here. Hawks Gaming wandering around here, seeing if they can find anything. Looks like Hachimecha might be the target here. His death sentence is going to get found onto him. The taunt is good, and that's going to be a free pick for Hawks Gaming. And with jungle advantage, they're going to turn their attention immediately over to the Baron. And we'll see what Rascal Jester are able to make of it. Pink going to be zooming in here very fast off the teleport. He's going to be fishing with Q, trying to find a little bit of information there, but does not look like Rascal Jester are going to take the contest here. They're going to just recognize jungler down, and Hawks Gaming are going to be able to salvage this game a little while longer by securing that Baron opportunity and backing immediately, as you have base to be worrying about. Rascal Jester instead taking their time to just set up vision around the Cloud Drake, try to put themselves up to soul point, and it's not a bad position to be in for Rascal Jester. Hawks Gaming find one, and Rascal Jester will need to be careful, as finding picks like that on solo members is really the only way Hawks Gaming are going to be able to find their stride. Tussle looking around here. It's kind of opposite end of his team. Needs to be a little bit careful. See, arrow's going to fly in. A good flash from Tussle to dodge out on that one. As Tussle's a little bit disconnected from his team, while they're starting up the Drake, they'll be able to burn this one down and should be able to get away before anything bad. Hachimecha has flash, though. He will flash for the pillar. Force out Pooh's flash in return, and does not look like they'll be able to get much more unless Hachimecha is able to continue the chase. He's making the call that he wants it. Another great pillar, but no flash on Pooh this time means a fight will be in the hands of Rascal Jester as they're going to look for more chase opportunities. Kalista going to use the Fate's Call to pull out Pooh from any danger there, but Rascal Jester looking to just try and push in across the Baron there. Sort of a dangerous position for Hawks Gaming to be in there. They do sneak away with the Drake and their lives, although costing a couple flashes means that may not be a mistake they're able to make very much more often. And while we are kind of looking at the way this game is just scaling out for Rascal Jester, pushing in with Baron just gets harder and harder as Kale, already level 16, has just so much lane clear with those empowered auto attacks. It's going to be a hard ask for Hawks Gaming to try and knock down this mid lane turret. They want to continue opening up the map and get any amount of value as this Baron, but Tussle looking over the wall here. If he finds a good Sonic Wave, but it's going to be the arrow that initiates things so far as Pooh's going to get hooked up, knocked down. Death Charge is going to be onto him, but Art's going to be flashing back to the other end of things as he's going to try and keep himself safe. Gawkhog using the ultimate on himself. That is going to be 2 members down from Hawks Gaming as the rest of Rascal Jester are just going to chase this one out. This is going to be Rascal Jester's win here, as ultimately Heroic Entrance is going to knock down Gawkhog, but it's all Dasher can do to really stall out for time. As Art living out on that one, blowing his summoners there alongside QSS, but will mean Rascal Jester's victory in the end. Hawks Gaming, in the time that they were kind of looking for a play, Tussle's looking for something to get started, Rascal Jester sort of beat them to the punch with the Ash Arrow, and that's going to be Rascal Jester finding their second win here in Week 4. First win of the day for Rascal Jester, in a great position to be in going forward. And ultimately, some props over to Pink, who has kind of struggled a little bit so far in the LJL, but putting him in a supportive role, he seems to have played that one out very well, stayed fairly even with Galio throughout that entire game, and while he didn't receive the most amount of jungle attention, so wasn't in a lot of present danger, was just able to play out the matchup effectively. And that'll be Rascal Jester finding their first win. Don't go anywhere before we get into our next game. We have more LJL content coming right at you, as Rascal Jester and Hawks Gaming both have their next few games to play. Coming up next, we have Hawks Gaming taking on V3 Esports. We'll see what Hawks Gaming are able to do in that one, while Rascal Jester will be able to relax on their win for now. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after the break.